Welcome to Outfitter Interviews with Safari Club International's Golden Gate chapter. Today we have Clay Roberts of Big Wild Outfitters. Welcome to the show, Clay. Please introduce yourself and tell us about your services.
Yeah, my name is Clay Roberts. I am part owner of Big Wild Outfitters. My partner, Richard Heiss, is also part of the business. We have two areas up here in Alaska, one in the interior of Alaska where we hunt Dall sheep, interior grizzly bear, and moose. And we also have an area on Kodiak Island where we do the big brown bears, mountain goat, and Sitka black-tailed deer. Both spring and fall for both businesses. A little bit about myself and my partner, Rick. I grew up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, moved to Alaska in 2006, and started out as a packer for some longtime guides here in the interior, and worked my way up the ranks to an assistant guide and then a registered guide and now an outfitter over the last 15 years. My partner, Rick, he's been a guide for over 35 years now. I was actually his packer when I first came to Alaska. So we've come full circle and are now able to be partners and bring Big Wild Outfitters to life. A little bit about what we offer here as a business. August, September, we hunt here in the interior. We have super cubs on floats. We do spike camp methods for most of our animals. We do Kodiak in October and November for the mountain goat and the brown bear and deer. And then the spring, we have interior grizzly and spring Kodiak bear as well.
Okay, great. You got quite a few species to hunt there. What's the best time to hunt? Is that what you were just talking about? Does that pretty well describe when it is and the seasons are just fairly short? Or
well, a lot of it depends on the animals you want to chase. Say for bear, for instance, on Kodiak, we have a little bit higher success rate in the spring just because the bears are more in rut. Their fur is a little bit better. The days are longer. So we have a little bit more success in the spring. But if you'd like to combo that bear with a mountain goat or a Sitka black-tailed deer, you'd have to hunt in the fall when those seasons are available. The only spring season animals we can chase in the spring are our bears. So there's pros and cons to each season for each animal. And a lot of it depends on the hunter's schedule and combination options as well.
Okay. Well, how do you hunt? I mean, I imagine it's not by vehicle a whole lot. I mean, is it horseback or backpack or?
So in our interior, my house is actually my base camp, and from here we fly super cubs on floats to lakes where we have cabins or we use tents. So it's a spike camp method for all of our species in the interior. On Kodiak, we have an acre of land surrounded by Kodiak Wildlife National Refuge, and then from there we have a base camp on the acre of land, and then from there we use boats for spot and stalk method style hunting. Our goat hunts on Kodiak, we do spike camp method where we're packing our tents halfway up the mountain to make those hunts a little bit easier on guys. But yeah, there's definitely some shoe leather involved in a lot of our hunts. But we, try to accommodate to our guys as much as we can. And Rick and I were able to take over the Kodiak area and the interior area from longtime outfitters before us that we were able to learn from. So we like to continue their stewardship and their conservation and their success. To where we can offer, what they were able to offer for the 30 to 50 years prior to us, with high success rates, safety, stress and conservation, and an overall great Alaskan experience.
So you're talking about lots of shoe leather. By the time people can afford some, pretty expensive hunts, sometimes they're a little bit older. Do you have, some accommodation for people who have a little bit less mobility?
Yeah, so we have young guides like myself and other guides that I hire to try to help so you're not packing a bunch of weight. A lot of our spike camps get us into goat country or into sheep country. So we're not having to, start from, base camp 0 feet in elevation and all the way up to 7, 8, 9,000 feet. We're not dealing with a lot of elevation, altitude sickness type hunts like they do in the lower 48. Our goats are between 2,000 and 3,000 feet in elevation, and our sheep are anywhere from 3,500 to 4,500. So, we try to accommodate as much as we can by bringing you as far as we can by machine with, boat or airplane, and then just taking as much of the weight as we can and just stressing, when you book to train, not so much in carrying lots of heavy weight. That's what we're here for, but just being able to, put on some miles and not break down and not get the blisters. And I've really found out that the better shape you're in, the more fun you're going to have in general. So we like to make it as easy as we can on some of these guys, but they're mountain hunts. And if they were easy, everybody would have a big dull sheep in their living room or a big mountain goat on their wall. And they don't. You got to work for it. You have to earn it. But it makes it that much more satisfying when you do accomplish the hunt and, conquer those mountains. It makes it all worth it.
Yeah, that does sound great. What are the accommodations like? You're talking about spike camps and stuff like that. What can people expect? Are they supposed to bring their own tents, or what's the deal?
No, so we supply all the tents, all the food. So when you book our hunts, with what you're paying for a one-on-one guide service, all your accommodations with us, all your Super Cub rides with us, lodging, and then trophy care. But my house here, I have a spare bedroom, and I also have yurts here on the property that you stay in while you're here. And then once we are in spike camp, we're in a tent or in a cabin. We do have some cabins that are sprinkled around that we can utilize if the animals are there. But we try to make it as comfortable as possible. We eat really well. My Kodiak, I'm very proud of what we offer on Kodiak. We have 4 cabins on the beach in Kodiak. I hire a cook, and we eat well. We have a warm, dry place to go back to every night. So you're not 12 days in a tent on Kodiak where it tends to rain every once in a while. So you're able to get back to the cabin and get dried off and have a hot meal and regenerate and get ready for the next day, because Kodiak can be grueling sometimes. So to have those creature comforts really can make or break a hunt.
Yeah, that does sound great. I've heard that rain is an occasional thing up at Kodiak.
Yeah, a little bit of wind too every once in a while. Yeah.
Okay. What kind of weapons do you guide for? I mean, rifle, pistol, muzzleloader, archery, the whole 9 yards. What do you got?
So, we're mainly rifle. Is a majority of our success. We do offer archery goat is probably one of our highest success rates, just because of our sheer numbers. If you come in shape and can move around a little bit, we have the goat numbers to get multiple opportunities. We kind of shy away from dull sheep and grizzly bear with the bow, just because I pride myself on sending guys home with animals. And by concentrating on bow and arrow and spending that kind of money on a hunt, I don't really like sending guys home without any. And I'm gonna be straight up honest with people on how successful they're going to be in my areas. And it's really hard with a stick and string. So majority of our guys are rifle. I've never had a pistol hunter or muzzleloader, but we do pride ourselves on our non-long range shooting, which is nice. So a lot of our animals, our average shot distance is 150 to 200 yards. So we're really focusing on a quality hunt with ethical taking of the animals and getting people up close and personal with some of these hunts, especially with our big bears on Kodiak. It is very exciting to get that close. But when you're with a bow and arrow, it's really hard. And when you're kind of newer in the business, like Big Wild is, I'd like to really get some numbers under my belt and some big critters killed before we start taking a lot more archery.
One of the other guys that we have interviewed said that for archery sheep hunting, you have to plan on at least 3 hunts before you get one sheep.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And I don't want to do that to somebody. I'm all for archery hunting. I have nothing against archery hunting whatsoever. But as a newer business, when I can look a guy in the face and say, hey, we got a 90% success rate on our mountain goats if you bring your rifle, I take a lot of pride in that. And I'd rather much say that than say, well, we got about a 50% chance if you bring your bow and arrow, which is still actually pretty good. But, I like to skin and I like to send guys home with animals. So, rifle is definitely the weapon of choice with Big Wild.
What kind of trophies can people expect there? Are they just representative? Do you have some really, really big ones come out of your area? What can they expect?
Yeah, so I guess if we go down the list of animals, so we're hunting the northern Talkeetna and central Alaska range for our Dall sheep, which is not a giant genetics sheep area. So for our Dall sheep, you can expect a good representative of the species, full curl, 9 to 10 years old, averaging 35 to 36 inch ram. We just don't have the genetics for 40-inch sheep in our area. So, that's what you can kind of expect for that. Our moose, we average about 60 inches as far as moose goes. Our interior grizzlies average 7.5 foot square, 22 to 23 inch skull size. Down on Kodiak, we have the Kodiak brown bears just like everybody else does. So we do have the big bears. I guess if you want to go percentages wise, we have about a 66% chance for a 9-foot bear in our area. Probably lower it down to about 40% chance for the cherished 10-footer, but they are there. They're all over the island. It's just a matter of getting lucky and being there at the right time. But if you come with us, we got a pretty good chance that we're going to get you a 9-foot boar at least. Our mountain goats average 8.5 to 9 inches, 5-year-old goats usually, but we're hunting those in October, November. So I feel like the hair is the real trophy on those goats. They're long winter coats, beautiful, gorgeous animals. And then our Sitka blacktails, we vary a lot depending on winter kill. Kodiak is up and down in terms of snow levels, especially the last 10 years. So on an average year, we're shooting bucks low to mid 90s as far as score goes. If we can string a couple of good winners in a row, we're definitely looking at 100-inch deer in our area.
What services do you have for trophy handling and meat handling? People are certainly interested in both of those for most of the species.
Yeah, so we fly out all the meat, all edible meat. Obviously, that's Alaska law. We here in the interior, we get it back to base camp, my house, and we'll hang it, get it curing for you. There's a trucking company here that does a swing through at the end of moose and caribou season with a freezer truck. So for some money, they will take all your meat, your antlers and your cape to lower 48. They have different spots they stop in the lower 48. So that's an option to get all your meat home. Kodiak will hang it and box it, and you can take it with you if you want from camp. Or we donate it to the locals. But all meat is packed out and flown out, and we don't process it for anybody, but we will hang it. We'll keep it clean. We'll keep it bone in, and it all depends on what the hunter wants to do in terms of where we go from there.
You talked about people getting in shape. What can people do to have the best chance for success before they come up and hunt with you?
Yeah. So, it's one of those things that takes a little bit of time. You can't start 3 weeks before the hunt and expect to be in good shape. So it's something to at least start at least 6 months before you start going. But I'm a big proponent of a mix between cardio and some weight training. Not all of one or the other. Like I said earlier, we're not having to carry 60, 70, 80 pound packs. So you don't need to focus on lifting weights. But the stronger you are in your legs and in your back, the easier it's going to be. So I would switch on and off, do a cardio day one day, and then, go to where you put 30 pounds on your back, and, you go climb some hills or just go for a 5-mile walk down the road just to get used to your pack, get used to your boots. A lot of guys that are in those flatter states, Nebraska, Iowa, put your boots on and go side hill through the ditch with 30 pounds on your pack. Anything to try to simulate side hilling, up, down. But a big thing that people need to get comfortable with is wearing their pack with a little bit of weight in it and wearing their boots. So if you can come in with a good broken pair of boots and shoulders that are used to carrying 30 pounds, we'll do what we can to get you where we need to. We'll get you there. But the more you prepare, it results in success, but also just a better experience overall.
Okay. Could you tell us, how is it that you decided to become a guide? What got you into this profession?
I kind of fell into it as a packer. That was my avenue, my ticket to come to Alaska from Michigan. I had met a guide outfitter actually when I came up here when I was 16, just on a trip with my dad, and just kind of stayed in touch with him. And when I graduated high school, he said, "Hey, come on up and pack for me." And I was more concentrating on chasing girls and playing football than actual guiding. So that just sounded like a cool getaway and excuse to come to Alaska. But once I got up here and saw what the industry really was and how much fun it was and how much adventure it was, and I had the build for it and the mindset for it, strong back, weak mind type of deal. I thought, hey, maybe I can make a go at this. I did get a degree in criminal justice at the University of Alaska Anchorage as a fallback plan, but as I guided through college, I kind of realized more and more that I couldn't give it up. So when I graduated college, I stuck with the guiding. I did some other off-seasonal jobs. And when the opportunity came with buying this Kodiak area, I got my partner, Rick, and him and we jumped on it, and we're very fortunate. It's a beautiful area. The animals are high numbered and accessible, and it's just a unique opportunity to be able to experience something like that twice a year, every year, and show the world what we have with some of the creature comforts like a warm cabin and good food, but also give them that true Alaskan experience in the mountains of Kodiak. It's very special for us.
Yeah, it sounds like your Kodiak experience might be, a really nice experience compared to some of the stories where you never do get dry. You hear lots of stories about people go to Alaska and they're wet for 10 days in a row.
Yeah. No, that's something we pride ourselves on is, we'll spend a little extra money to bring in the better food, to spruce up the cabins, to cut more firewood, to do whatever we can, because those are all things that we can control. I can't control the weather. I can't control the animals, but I can control our guides. I can control our accommodations. I can control our food. So you may not get your animal. You may be tired and cold, and it might be windy, and you might lose some days to weather, but you'll leave my camp full, warm, dry, and being around good people. Very family-oriented style of guiding. I bring down our guides' wives and girlfriends. My daughter comes down to camp. She's 2.5. She's gone down to camp pretty much every season her whole life. So I really try to bring the family aspect into things, and to just give a little extra to the hunt than just let's go out and kill an animal. And it goes a long ways when the animals sometimes don't cooperate.
Yeah, they call it hunting, not shopping. So
Exactly.
sometimes,
yeah,
sometimes it just doesn't work out. So since this is Alaska, I presume that most all of the hunting is on public land.
Yes, our interior area is public state land, combination of Bureau of Land Management, Department of Natural Resources, and state park. Our Kodiak area is a federal area, National Wildlife Refuge. So I am the sole outfitter in my area. I have a concession on Kodiak, which is kind of nice. So it eliminates any other guiding competition. But it's also a lot more strict in terms of rules and what we can use and what we can do on those lands. And my tags are a lot more limited and that therefore a little more expensive. But both areas deliver high success rates and quality animals where you'll get the full experience whether on state land or federal.
Okay. In these days of social media, what do you do to protect the reputation of your client?
Well, I don't do a whole lot of social media. Big Wild has an Instagram page, but I don't post a whole lot on there. I like to hope anyways that our reputation and our success is what books us our future hunters. My predecessors I learned from the 3 R's: repeat, reference, and referral. That's how they lived by. And I'd like to carry on that tradition instead of solely relying on social media and just trying to post pictures and get likes and hashtags and all that kind of stuff. I really just want to let what we do out in the field do the talking and directly result in future hunters.
Well, hopefully this will be a notable exception and you'll get some referrals from people who watch the show and say, I really want to go up there and hunt Kodiak with this guy. This sounds like a great way to do it. So, or the interior,
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's nice. With as many animals as we offer, we get a lot of repeat guys. We pride ourselves on our repeat guys by showing them an experience and having guys want to come back, which is really great. It gives us that extra clientele boost that helps us out when it comes to future bookings. But we're a smaller operation. I only take 2 to 3 guys at a time in camp, and we're a smaller operation. So I'm not sitting here looking for 15 bear hunters a year. I'm looking for 6 or 7. We only do 4 Dall sheep a year. We do 4 moose a year. So I'm not one of these big guys that are just scrounging looking for every client I can. I like to keep my numbers small, therefore I can focus on quality a lot more than quantity.
It is getting more and more difficult to travel with firearms these days. Do you have a rifle that people can rent when they're up there?
Yeah, so I've had guys use, I have a 300 Weatherby that has killed a lot more animals than I've ever killed with it because everybody else uses it. And I've also let guys use my 375 as well. So yeah, we do have rifles to use if needed. But a lot of where we go, our interior area, you fly into Anchorage or you fly into Fairbanks and you rent a car and you can drive to our front door. So logistics of getting a rifle to our interior is not too tough. And same with Kodiak, you're flying Alaska Airlines all the way to Kodiak, and then a charter flight down to our camp from Kodiak. Most guys don't have trouble getting rifles here. It's my international guys that are the ones doing a lot of the renting. But yeah, if there's ever a need for a firearm, I'm not gonna let that stop any guy from coming to hunt with me. We'll find a rifle for you.
So you have a lot of international hunters come up there. Is it, if somebody is coming from another country, you're a good guide for them to come see?
Yeah, we don't get a ton just because I don't do any focused marketing internationally, but through references and referrals, we'll get guys from a lot of Canadians. We've had some New Zealanders, a couple New Zealanders actually come with us. A couple guys from Europe, scattered throughout South Africa. So, it's a mixing pot, and, but I don't do any direct marketing to any one country. It's more of just, hey, I heard of you from so-and-so who hunted with you or whatever. And, through the grapevine sort of deal.
Okay. Can you think of any really interesting stories that our viewers would like to hear about some of your hunts?
Oh man. Well, let's see. Everybody always likes to hear bear stories. That's probably one of the most popular. Have you ever had any close calls? And so my close call stories, I guess I got one pretty good one, where I definitely used up one of my cat lives on this one, I guess, so to say. But so we were spring hunting in the interior, which we do off snowmobile, and so we rode snowmobiles in, and we killed this bear about 300 yards below a den. Well, putting two and two together, I thought that bear belonged to that den. So once we had gotten the bear skinned and loaded up, I said, well, let's go up and check out the den and climb inside and take pictures. It's really neat to see a bear den. Well, I got up to the hole and kind of was looking around, and the tracks from the bear we killed and the tracks that were around the hole just didn't really match up. But I thought, hey, maybe I'm just missing something. So as I'm setting down my rifle and taking off my snowshoes and standing right in front of this den, I hear some woofing and some heavy breathing. And from there, my immediate reaction was, oh my gosh, there's a bear in that hole. I need to run. So I bolted and I cartwheeled and somersaulted down the mountain, because bear dens are on the side of these mountains. So here I am, just end over end over end, like covering the back of my neck, thinking that any moment there's going to be a bear on top of me. And my client was 30 yards to the side of me, and he had no idea what was going on. He sees me running down the hill, falling down the mountain, and he's just kind of standing there going, well, what do I do? And the amazing thing is he had a GoPro on, and he had the GoPro going the whole time. So we got it on film, me falling and cartwheeling down this mountain, but that bear actually stuck his head out twice, and thought about coming down. But it wasn't my time to die, obviously. And everything worked out good. And the client, he got to roll down the mountain too, because he got all scared, and that got all on film. And but the bear never came out of his hole. But he was asleep and turned around in that hole, and he heard me yakking away and standing in front of his hole, and it got him turned around and stuck his head out. But no, I thought for sure I was gonna meet my maker on that one, but luck was on my side, and the bear stayed in his hole. And I went and got another client the next day to chase that bear, but he left his den in the middle of the night and he got away. So I kind of was a very firm believer in higher power of Mother Nature there on that one, where I got to survive, the bear got to survive, all is right in the world.
The fact you went on a snowmobile reminds me of another question I should ask. Gear list. You provide your hunters with a list of gear that they should bring, because hunting in Kodiak in the fall is going to be different from hunting in the interior in the spring, apparently.
Yep.
You let them know what they should bring?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I send them a gear list tailored to their season and their animal specifically. The general census of the gear list is the same in terms of layering, quality gear and a layering system for warmth, because whether in the spring or fall, we're dealing. Yeah, exactly. Kuyu is, between Kuyu and Sitka, they've gotten us taken care of as guides. They've taken a lot of our stress and problems out by supplying guys with really good gear, and optimum layering systems that keeps a lot of our clothes from having to be given to the client to keep them warm. So yeah, I supply a full-on gear list for everybody to have everybody good to go, and comfortable and confident coming into camp.
Excellent. One last thing I'd like to cover. You talked about your conservation philosophy, and Safari Club International, of course, we're very much in favor of that and work very hard at it. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about your conservation philosophy?
Yeah, so I mean, I owe a lot of that to my predecessors, both on Kodiak and the interior, who I bought the businesses from. They were in business, and they knew that to stay in business, you needed to guide within your means and take quality, mature animals, and also obeying the law and being safe. So I think all of that combined you can combine that into with conservation in terms of continuing our industry. You got to keep guys safe. You got to, keep animals populations in check and under control. But no, I think that by learning from Safari Club and going to the shows and doing my research and then having my predecessors, we really look at what it takes to run a good business and stay in business by obviously taking the right amount of animals, but not too many. Not being greedy. I could probably book twice as many hunters as that I take, but my success rate would go down, and 10 years down the line, I wouldn't be offering the trophy quality, I am now in terms of my bears or my goats. So I really try to live within my means in terms of what the animals offer, but also for future generations. I want to pass on, hopefully in 30, 40 years, pass this business on to somebody else, and it's going to be just as good or better hunting. And I want to be a big part of that, on why it's kept its value and kept its quality.
Well, that's really great to hear. And obviously, as an SCI member myself, I hear the stories. I know what hunters can do if they just put their minds to it. It sounds like, you're right there with us. So as we close up, is there anything else you'd like to tell our viewers before we close up?
I guess just my biggest thing is, as these hunts progress, and they're only getting more expensive, unfortunately. And like you say earlier, the generation that can afford these hunts are a little older, so it can be physically more demanding. But my biggest thing that I want to stress to everybody is, if you have a passion to do it, or if you have any interest at all in hunting Alaska, to just do it. You see a lot of people out there driving brand new $50,000 trucks and brand new $12,000 four-wheelers every year. So if you put your mind to it and you really want to hunt Alaska, you can afford some of these hunts and you can really do it. So experience it, live it, and try it. You won't regret hunting Alaska, whether it's with me or any of these other guys up here. There's a lot of great people up here in Alaska. The hunt is a true quality hunt. The animals are spectacular, and it really brings a hunter full circle when they come up here and conquer Alaska, experience Alaska, see the elements, and get a real appreciation for what, not per se hunting, but a true mountain hunt, or a spike camp out in the middle of nowhere type of hunt. To experience that once in your life, whether it be with me or somebody else, just if there's any interest in it, just get out and do it, because everybody wins in the long run.
Well, that's a really great philosophy, really great idea. And Clay, we thank you very much for your time right now, and hope that you have a great hunting season this year and every year thereafter.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. With everything going on in the world right now, opening up avenues like this, we really appreciate it as guides, and we can't thank you enough.
It's our pleasure. I'm just glad that our chapter is able to do this to help out the guides a little bit. I know it's been a very challenging couple of years, and it'll take a while to recover from this. So thanks again, and good hunting.
Thank you so much. Take care.